U.S. President Lyndon Johnson's limousine covered in paint packets during protests against the Vietnam War, 1966. The architect of the Auschwitz concentration camp, Rudolf Höss, shortly before he was executed. This case shocked France. In 1876, Blanche Monnier from Poitiers fell in love with a poor lawyer, but her mother opposed the marriage. After an argument, the girl disappeared. No one suspected that she was locked in an attic for 25 years by her mother. When the police arrived after a neighbor's report, Blanche weighed only 55 pounds. Drinking school children learn worse than non-drinkers. Anti-alcohol poster from the USSR, 1950s. An Aboriginal man photographs his tribesmen on the northern coast of Queensland, Australia, 1929. A men's urinal on the streets of France, 1920s. Love is stronger than all prejudices. Shoichi Yokoi, the Japanese soldier who hid in the jungle in Guam for 27 years to avoid capture, weeps upon his return to Japan in February 1972. Riots, 1960, Tokyo. In those years, Japan witnessed mass student group protests. The main demand was the closure of U.S. military bases. Annie Jones, a bearded woman who worked her whole life in the circus. Her mother sold her into it when she was just 3 years old. A pearl diver on the Mississippi prepares for another dive, USA, 1938. Using an old fuel tank as a helmet, he could dive up to a depth of 21 meters in such an apparatus. This is a wealthy family, 1910s, Liberia. In the 19th century, a movement arose in the U.S. to return freed African slaves to Liberia. Later, African Americans captured lands of indigenous tribes, enslaving them, and, replicating the U.S. lifestyle, became slaveholders. A diver, after inspecting the interior of the sunken battleship Arizona, the day of the attack on Pearl Harbor, December 7, 1941. Cambridge students protest the admission of women to the University, United Kingdom, 1897. In Japan from the 17th to 19th centuries, there was anazumo, or female sumo. It originated in districts where there were brothels. Prostitutes wrestled either each other or blind men. An annual horrifying festival takes place in the city of Yulin in June. The Chinese eat up to 15,000 dogs. The overall statistics are even more frightening. 4 million cats are eaten annually in China. In the spring of 1933, thousands of Gulag prisoners were put on Nazinski Island without food to build a settlement. By summer, only 2,200 of the 6,700 had survived. There was famine and cannibalism, USSR. Circus elephant from the Amar brothers plowing land in occupied France, 1941. The original quadrober, a strange sight from the USA, 1867. Lunch break during the filming of Star Wars. Protest outside, a movie theater showing the pornographic film Deep Throat, New York, 1972. In the early last century, there was a low-paid profession of tunnel guard. Workers lived in huts near the tracks, cleaned debris before trains, and had little time for sleep and rest. Soviet whalers transport dead animals to the whaling base, USSR, 1960. The First Underwater Photograph, 1899. Auschwitz concentration camp after liberation, 1945. Tsar cannon, 1883. It is believed that the Tsar cannon never fired and was made just to instill fear in foreigners. A black woman protects a racist from an angry mob, 1996. Nazi parade in 1937 at the Temple of Light. The structure consisted of 130 powerful searchlights pointing vertically upwards. Prisoners of the Flossenburg death camp after being liberated by the 97th Infantry Division of the U.S. Army, May 1945. A Siberian chainmail suit for bear hunting, 1800. This is how Japanese streets were watered 100 years ago. Berlin, May 1945. A frenzied elderly woman wanders the street amidst deadly combat. Photo from the German archive. Walking the Mummies, Italy, 1950. King Constantine II of Greece, right, and Prince Juan Carlos I of Spain, left, sparring in karate. Corfu, Greece, 1966. Hamas militants in the residence of Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas after its capture, June 15, 2007. An experiment to train students under hypnosis. The students are in a trance and listen to a lesson recording through headphones. Italy, 1963. A Tibetan man greets a photographer in 1955. This gesture was traditional proof that they weren't reincarnated demons, because according to folklore, demons have green tongues. The photo shows Jean Courtney, the Sausage Queen, USA, 1955. Unique 1944 photo of the Normandy landing by military cyclists. The VW Sirocco rally crew is photographed after a successful race, Germany, 1977. In the 1960s, a popular hippie slogan was, "Bombing for peace is like having sex for virginity." It was used by young people protesting the U.S. war in Vietnam. Hachiko continues to faithfully wait for his owner at Shibuya Station, Tokyo, 1933. Dali paints his next masterpiece with a model, The Temptation of St. Anthony, 1946. Matador Alvaro Munero, in the middle of a fight, suddenly sat down at the edge of the arena in remorse. Later, Alvaro confessed, "Suddenly I saw not horns, but the eyes of the bull. He just stood there, looking, not trying to attack. In his eyes, full of innocence, I saw a plea for help. Reading this, I felt like the worst creature on earth and stopped the fight." During the mass riots of autumn 2006, demonstrators managed to start an T-3485 tank, placed on display in the city center, and attempted to break through the police positions with it. Prisoners shackled in handcuffs turning foot-powered mills in Yangon prison, Myanmar, 1900s. Do not wish for health and wealth, but wish for luck. For on the Titanic everyone was rich and healthy, but only a few were lucky. Winston Churchill. The armored Mercedes-Benz of the president of Ingushetia after an assassination attempt by the Russians, 2005. A couple shows their newborn children to their grandparents across the Berlin Wall, 1961. The Japanese during World War II displayed unprecedented cruelty, killing more Chinese people than the Nazis killed Jews. Tens of thousands of Chinese women were raped. Many of them were killed. During hyperinflation in Germany, workers were paid twice a day, morning and evening, and during lunch, they were released from work to buy something with their rapidly depreciating money. The Taliban crush alcohol seized during the capture of Kabul with a tank, Afghanistan, 1996. Bergen-Belsen SS women camp guards are paraded for work in clearing the dead, World War II. A teenager at the ruins of his home 4 days after Hurricane Camille passed through, Buras, USA, 1960s. In 1989, about 2 million people from Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania formed a human chain linking the three countries to show their desire to leave the Soviet Union. Players from the Toronto Maple Leafs and Chicago Blackhawks search for a lost expensive contact lens belonging to Jack Evans. This is a rally of Hitler's supporters in 1937. No rally in human history gathered so many people. 8 years later, in 1945, after Germany's defeat, they would claim they had never supported Hitler's ideas. Native Alaskans play the game Nulukatuck, 1965. The trampoline was invented by Eskimos to spot whales during hunting as early as possible. They used a stretched walrus skin, which could throw them to a height of almost 4 floors. Hattie McDaniel became the first black actress to win an Oscar in 1940. A scandal arose at the ceremony due to racial segregation, and the actress had to sit separately. This is why sadness is on her face. Construction of the Berlin Wall, one of the Cold War's most infamous symbols, 1961. A Northumbrian miner eating lunch after a long workday, 1937. He probably had similarly black lungs and did not live long. In 2010, Randy Guajaro bought an 1878 photograph for $2 that showed Billy the Kid and his gang. It turned out to be one of 2 confirmed photos and is valued at $5 million. Robert Corder during the testing of his invention, a jetpack, USA, 1969. A competition for the most elegant cigarette smoking, Paris, 1935. In ancient Greece, a gift of a rabbit from one man to another signified an intention to engage in intimate relations with the recipient. Police used tear gas during riots in the illegal settlement of Rotterdam, South Africa. People are protesting the destruction of their homes, 1977. A basketball match played on unicycles, United States, 1960s. Sylvester Stallone and Dolly Parton, 1984. A Turk washes his feet for his final prayer as Bulgarian soldiers prepare the gallows for him, 1913. Segregationists harass 6-year-old Ruby Bridges with a doll in a coffin. Berlin residents search for food in the ruins, 1945. During World War II, the Soviet Army used pigeons to deliver incendiary shells. The birds were dropped from planes with shells attached, which triggered when they landed on enemy aircraft. In 1972, Spanish postman Gabriel March Grandos was sentenced to 384,912 years in prison, the longest sentence in history, for destroying 42,768 letters he refused to deliver. Cancer treatment equipment, mid-20th century. British soldiers load a 6-inch naval gun at Shornmead Fort, England, 1940. Princess Margaret caught in a gust of wind. Unlike Queen Elizabeth II, whose dresses had sewn-in weights, Margaret allowed herself more freedom, to the delight of nearby students. A photograph from 2019 shows 2 Colombian soldiers giving a final salute as they free fall. The rope that was carrying them suddenly broke during an air show. Miss Italy knocks out Miss Sweden in an international women's boxing match in Stockholm, 1949. Philippine Aborigines in an enclosure at the New York Zoo, 1905. Adolf and Rudolf Dassler, brothers, founders of Puma and Adidas. They hated each other so much that they didn't speak until the end of their lives. Children protest against daylight saving time. It's unfair. They could have played for another hour. New York, USA, 1939. Epidemic of encephalitis lethargica, also known as sleeping sickness. One of the strangest diseases in the history of medicine. People infected with it constantly wanted to sleep and often didn't wake up. The mysterious epidemic, observed in the 1920s, spread to many countries. Refugees flee south from North Korea on a train to escape advancing communist forces from the north, 1950. 1910, New York. 4 young girls send blessings to people 100 years into the future. Manchester and Cardiff fans arguing over which team plays better football. Britain, 1970s. A 3-wheeled timber truck from the early 1900s. In those days, hard labor literally meant hard labor. In the photo, a black police officer stands next to a Ku Klux Klan member, protecting him from an angry mob. Texas, 1983. A lonely driver escapes during the collapse of the Tacoma Bridge. Tacoma, USA, 1940. Abandoned ships in the desert. The drop in water levels in the Aral Sea is called one of the worst environmental disasters on the planet. The De Beers Company X-rays diamond mine workers to find hidden diamonds. Kimberley, South Africa, 1954. Zolas and Their Car, South Africa, 1903. John Lennon signing an autograph for his soon-to-be murderer, Mark David Chapman, hours before he was shot. On April 30th, 1956, 78-year-old U.S. Vice President Alben Barkley died in the Senate immediately after saying, "I would rather be a servant in the house of the Lord than sit among the mighty." The wedding of Freddie Mercury's parents, 1946. An Egyptian column destroyed by Israeli aviation during the Six-Day War. At the end of the war, Israel gained control of territory 3.5 times larger than its pre-war area, 1967. 19-year-old David Isom walked through a white-only pool, after which officials closed the facility. Florida, 1958. There were also brothels and concentration camps. And very often, the girls were abused by other women, such as the commandant's wives, simply for pleasure. In the Middle Ages, women used lead-based whiteners for a porcelain skin tone. This cosmetic, popular until the 19th century, caused poisoning, emaciation, disorientation, lack of appetite, and took the lives of many. If you steal a loaf of bread, you go to jail. The Great Depression, USA, early 1930s. Radium mask for treating facial cancer, 1920. Thank you for watching this video until the end. I hope these photos impressed you. Some may have made you angry, brought a smile, made you happy, or perhaps even caused some negativity. Feel free to leave your comments and stay tuned for the next part. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Bye.